All right, welcome. Have you ever wondered how scientists can just look at a chemical and know exactly how acidic it is? Well, today we're opening up the chemist's toolkit. We're going to grab the 4 essential tools you need to calculate pH in pretty much any situation. Let's get to it. So here's the plan. First, we're starting with the basics, the real foundation, strong acids. Then we'll see what happens when you start mixing things together. After that, we'll tackle the much trickier world of weak acids. And finally, we're going to master the specialist's tool for buffer solutions. You ready to build up that chemistry toolkit? Let's go.
Okay, but before we start calculating anything, let's just pause for a second. We've all seen the letters pH on everything from shampoo bottles to pool testing kits. But what are we actually talking about? What is pH?
The easiest way to think about it is like a chemical measuring tape that runs from 0 to 14. Anything from 0 up to 6 is acidic, like the zing you get from a lemon. A perfect 7 is totally neutral, like pure water. And then from 8 all the way up to 14, you're in basic or alkaline territory. Think baking soda. This scale is basically our map for the entire journey today.
Okay, first up, our foundational tool. This is for the most straightforward scenario there is, strong acids. Think of this as the trusty hammer in our toolkit. It's simple, essential, and you're going to use it all the time.
And here it is, our first tool. The formula looks simple, and honestly it is. pH equals the negative log of the hydronium ion concentration. The reason this is so easy for strong acids is because they're, strong. They completely fall apart in water, so the concentration of the acid is the concentration of the ions. It's a direct line to the answer.
So let's put it to work. Step 1, you just need to know the hydronium ion concentration. Let's say it's 1 × 10 to the negative 4 molar. Step 2, you literally just plug that number into our new formula. That's it. Punch it into a calculator and you're done.
And boom, the pH is 4. Exactly where we'd expect it to be, right on the acidic side of our scale. See? First tool in the belt. Easy as that.
All right, we've got the basics down. Time to level up a little bit. What happens when you don't just have an acid, but you mix it with a base? Well, for that, we need our second tool, the neutralization tool. So here's our scenario. We're mixing a strong base, sodium hydroxide, with a strong acid, hydrochloric acid. They're going to react, they're going to neutralize each other, but what's left? What's the final pH of the mixture?
This is kind of like balancing a chemical budget. First, you calculate how many moles, or units, of the base you have. Then you do the same for the acid. They're going to cancel each other out, 1 for 1. So you just subtract to see what you have in excess of. Once you know what's left over, you can figure out the final pH.
And in this case, the final pH is a very basic 11.88. And that totally makes sense, right? It just means that when we balanced our chemical budget, we had more of the strong base left over in the account. Tool number 2? Done. Okay, time to get into the really interesting stuff. See, not all acids are these powerhouses that completely fall apart. Some are, weak. And weak acids are a totally different game. They require a much more advanced tool from our kit.
This really shows the difference. A strong acid is like dropping a sugar cube in water. Poof, it's completely gone, dissolved. But a weak acid? That's more like throwing a rock in the water. It's still there, mostly intact, with just a little bit dissolving off the edges. This partial dissociation means our simple first formula just won't work anymore.
So to handle this, we need a new formula that takes that weakness into account. It uses this special value called Ka, the acid dissociation constant. You can just think of Ka as a number that tells you how weak the acid is. The smaller the Ka, the weaker the acid, and the more it stays intact. So let's run the numbers for acetic acid. We just need its Ka value and its concentration. We plug those into our new square root formula to find the hydronium concentration, and from there, it's back to our old friend, the negative log, to get the final pH. And we get a pH of 2.87. Now, that's still acidic, for sure. But here's the cool part. If this were a strong acid at the same concentration, the pH would be much, much lower, around 1. That difference is the weakness in action.
Pretty powerful tool, huh?
And that brings us to our final, and maybe most sophisticated tool in the entire kit. This is for a very special case called a buffer solution. This is the tool you grab when your #1 priority is stability.
So what on earth is a buffer? It's a special mixture. You take a weak acid and you mix it with something called its conjugate base, which is basically just the acid after it's lost its proton. This combination, this chemical team, has a superpower. It can absorb added acids or bases and keep the pH almost exactly the same. It's like a chemical shock absorber.
And of course, a super solution needs its own super formula. You can see it looks a little different. The key to the whole thing is that ratio, the amount of acid you have compared to the amount of base. That's what gives a buffer its incredible stabilizing power.
Let's see how it works. We'll take a buffer made of acetic acid and sodium acetate. We find the Ka, we plug in the concentration of our acid and our base, and then it's just one final negative log calculation to get our answer.
The pH for this buffer is 492. But here's the wild part. You could add a little bit of strong acid to this solution or a little bit of strong base, and that number, it would barely move. It is incredibly stable. It's the ultimate pH bodyguard.
And this isn't just some weird thing that only happens in a lab. In fact, you are walking around with the most important buffer solution of all inside you right now. Your blood is a buffer, and it works tirelessly to keep your body's pH locked in at around 7.4. It is, quite literally, keeping you alive.
Which leads to a pretty wild final thought, doesn't it? Your body is performing these incredibly complex chemical calculations, maintaining this perfect balance every single second of every day without you even thinking about it. So what would happen if it couldn't? It really makes you appreciate the amazing chemistry that makes life possible. Thanks for diving into the toolkit with me.